Madison Hayes stood frozen in her own doorway, watching her deaf twin daughters actually laugh for the first time in months. But it wasn't a therapist or expensive specialist making them smile. It was him, the janitor. On his knees in her kitchen hands, flying through sign language like he'd done it his whole life. Her daughters were calling him Daddy in signs she'd never learned. And Madison's perfect world was about to shatter. Before we dive into this incredible story, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our heartfelt stories. And drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel around the world. Now let's get into this emotional journey. Get away from my daughters. Madison Hayes stood in the doorway of her own kitchen and spoke those words to a man she'd never really looked at before. Daniel Miller, the night janitor from Hayes Corporation, on his knees on her floor, with her 7-year-old twins. His hands were moving, fast, fluid, like water flowing over rocks. Emma and Grace were giggling, actually giggling, their faces bright and alive in a way Madison hadn't seen since David died 2 years ago. But all Madison saw was a stranger, a man she paid minimum wage, in her home, with her children. Daniel's hands stopped. He looked up. His eyes were calm. Too calm. "Mrs. Hayes, I didn't hear you come in." Clearly. Madison's voice could shatter glass. She'd used that voice on hostile board members, on competitors, on anyone who dared challenge her. "Step away from my daughters, now!" Emma's smile died. She grabbed Daniel's sleeve. Her small fingers clutched the worn fabric of his work uniform like a lifeline. Grace moved in front of him, a tiny shield, her brown eyes defiant. Madison's heart stopped. Her own daughters were protecting him. From her. "Mrs. Hayes." Daniel stood slowly, his hands visible, open. "The girls and I were practicing some signs, that's all." Practicing signs. Madison's laugh was sharp, bitter. "You're teaching my daughters sign language. You, the janitor who mops my office floors." Daniel didn't flinch. "Yes, ma'am. They asked me to." "They asked you." Madison pulled out her phone. "You have 30 seconds to explain why I shouldn't call the police right now." "Mama, no." Grace stomped her foot. Her hands flew up, fast, angry gestures Madison couldn't read. Emma burst into tears. They were speaking, right in front of her, and Madison understood nothing. "Girls, go to your room." Emma sobbed harder. Grace's hands moved faster, more desperate. "They're saying you're being mean." Daniel's voice was quiet, even. "They're asking you not to send me away." "I didn't ask for a translation." "Mama, please." Emma ran forward and grabbed Madison's hand. The phone clattered to the floor. Madison looked down at her daughter's tear-streaked face. When was the last time Emma had run to her? When was the last time either of them had wanted her comfort? The answer hurt too much to think about. "Mrs. Hayes?" Daniel took a step back, giving her space. "Your housekeeper, Maria, let me in. She's been watching the girls struggle with their homework, the assignments from the speech therapist. She knew I could sign, asked if I could help. That's all this is." Maria. Of course. Maria who'd been with them since the twins were born. Maria who ran Madison's house better than Madison did. "The girls have been asking everyone for help with signing." Daniel's voice stayed level, patient, like he dealt with irrational people every day. Maybe he did. Their tutors, their therapists. No one had time, or didn't know how. So when Maria asked, I said yes. Madison stared at him, really looked at him for the first time. Daniel Miller was maybe 40, graying at the temples, calloused hands, his uniform clean but worn, his eyes kind, too kind, the kind of kindness that made Madison want to run. "How long has this been going on?" 2 weeks, Tuesdays and Thursdays, after my shift ends." 2 weeks. The room tilted. "You've been coming to my house for 2 weeks and nobody told me. You're not usually home before 9. No accusation in his tone, just fact. "The girls are asleep by then." The words hit like a slap. Madison worked late every night, closed deals, built empires, and missed bedtime, every single night. "I provide everything for them." Her voice rose. "The best therapists, the best schools, private tutors, everything money can buy." "I know you do, ma'am." "Then what exactly are you doing here that a team of professionals can't?" Daniel looked at Emma and Grace. They'd huddled together on the floor, watching, waiting. He knelt down. His hands moved in smooth, flowing gestures. Both girls nodded. He stood. "I asked if they wanted to explain, or if they wanted me to. They chose me." "How generous of them." "Your daughters are brilliant, Mrs. Hayes." Daniel met her eyes. "Truly brilliant. But they're lonely. They've been trying to learn ASL for months. They want to connect with other deaf kids at school. They want conversations without always needing someone to translate. They want to feel normal." Normal. The word made Madison's chest tight. She'd spent 2 years telling everyone her daughters were perfect as they were. That being deaf didn't define them. That they could do anything. But she'd never asked what they wanted. The speech therapist is teaching them to read lips, to speak. Madison heard how hollow she sounded. "That's what's best." For who? The question hung between them. "Excuse me?" "I'm asking respectfully, ma'am. Best for who, them or you?" Madison's face burned hot. "How dare you?" "You're right. I apologize." But Daniel didn't look sorry. He looked sad. "It's not my place." "No, it's not." Madison turned to her daughters. "Girls, say goodnight to Mr. Miller. He's leaving." Emma's face crumpled. Grace shook her head hard. Her hands moved in sharp, angry slashes. "They're saying it's not fair." Daniel's voice dropped quieter. "That you never listen." "I listen plenty." "Do you—" Daniel walked toward the door. "When's the last time you sat with them without your laptop, without checking your phone? When's the last time you asked about their day and actually heard the answer?" Madison opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Because he was right. She managed a Fortune 500 company, thousands of employees, billions of dollars. But she couldn't remember the last real conversation with her own daughters. "Get out." Daniel nodded. He turned to the girls, signed something long and gentle. Both twins ran to him, wrapped their arms around his legs. He hugged them back, his hands soft on their heads. Then he signed something else. A promise, maybe. Or goodbye. Emma and Grace stepped back. They didn't look at Madison. Daniel walked to the door, paused. "For what it's worth, Mrs. Hayes, they love you. They talk about you constantly. How smart you are, how strong, how they want to be just like you someday." He met her eyes one last time. "They just want you to see them too." Then he left. The house fell silent except for Emma's quiet crying. Madison stood in her kitchen, her hands shaking, her perfect control shattered on the floor like her phone. Grace picked up the phone, held it out. Her small face set in an expression Madison recognized from her own mirror. Anger, disappointment, grief. Madison took the phone. "Thank you." Grace's hands moved. One sharp gesture. "What did she say?" Grace rolled her eyes and walked away. Emma followed. Madison was alone, in her mansion, with her success. With her complete failure as a mother crushing her chest until she couldn't breathe. She sank into a chair. The twins' homework covered the kitchen table. Madison pulled it closer. Speech therapy exercises, lip reading drills, pronunciation practice. The same assignments they'd done for months with barely any progress. Underneath, in crayon, Emma had drawn a picture. 4 stick figures holding hands, 2 small ones in the middle. One tall with long hair and a frown. one shorter with a smile. Under the smiling figure, Mr. Daniel. Under the tall frowning one, Mama at work. Madison stared at the picture until tears blurred the crayon lines. Her phone buzzed, her assistant. Another crisis at the office. Madison sent it to voicemail. She climbed the stairs. The twins' door was closed. She raised her hand to knock. Stopped. What would she even say? She didn't know how to sign, "I'm sorry." She didn't know how to sign anything that mattered. Through the crack in the door, she saw Emma and Grace on their bed, hands moving, talking in a language Madison had locked herself out of. She'd built an empire and lost her daughters. Madison walked to her room, opened her laptop, typed, "Learn ASL fast." Hundreds of results appeared. She clicked the first video. A cheerful instructor demonstrated basic signs. "Hello. Thank you. I love you." Madison watched 3 times. Her hands felt clumsy. Stupid. Wrong. Her phone buzzed again. The board. Emergency meeting in the morning. Madison turned it face down. Started the video again. She heard the front door open downstairs. Maria's voice calling softly in Spanish. Madison should go down. Demand answers. Fire Maria for bringing a stranger into her home. But Maria had done what Madison couldn't. Found someone who could reach her daughters. Madison stayed in her room. Practiced signs until her hands ached and her eyes burned. At midnight, she crept to the twins' room. The door stood open now, both girls asleep. Emma's arm over Grace's shoulder. Their faces peaceful. Madison stood in the doorway. Tried the signs she'd learned. "I love you." Her hands moved stiffly through the gesture. Emma stirred. Her fingers twitched in sleep, like she was answering. Madison turned away before the tears could fall. CEOs didn't cry. Madison Hayes didn't cry. Except she did. In her room. Quietly. For everything she'd built and everything she'd lost. She cried for David. Her husband, who'd known how to make their daughters laugh. Who'd started learning sign language the day they got the diagnosis. Who'd died before he could teach Madison what mattered. She cried for 2 years of bedtimes she'd missed. Of school plays she'd skipped for board meetings. Of moments she could never get back. At 3 in the morning, Madison was still awake, still practicing. Her reflection in the dark window showed a stranger. Hair down, makeup gone. Just a woman trying desperately to learn how to talk to her own children. She pulled up Daniel's employee file. Daniel Miller. Maintenance department. Hired 5 years ago. Widowed. Single father. Madison scrolled down. Previous employment: St. Mary's School for the Deaf. Teacher's assistant. Left position suddenly 3 years ago. No explanation given. Her finger hovered over the screen. A teacher's assistant. At a school for the deaf. And he'd left to become a janitor at her company. Why? She kept reading. Emergency contact none listed. Next of kin none listed. It was like he'd erased his past. Started over. Alone. Madison thought about the way he'd hugged her daughters. The gentleness in his hands. The patience in his voice. A man who'd given up teaching to push a mop, who spent his free time helping strangers' children, who asked for nothing in return, who was Daniel Miller. And why did he understand loss in a way that made Madison's chest ache? She closed the laptop. Tomorrow she'd find answers. The next morning, Madison woke at 5. She'd slept maybe an hour. She dressed for battle. Sharp suit. High heels. Hair pulled back tight. Her armor back in place. But when she passed the twins' room, she stopped, opened the door quietly. Emma and Grace were still asleep. Madison sat on the edge of the bed, watched them breathe. She tried the signs again. Better this time. Smoother. "Good morning. I love you." Grace's eyes opened. She stared at Madison, then at Madison's hands. Her small face crumpled. She launched herself at Madison so hard they both nearly fell off the bed. Emma woke up, saw Madison's hands still frozen in the sign. Started crying too. Both girls clung to her. Madison held them and felt something break open in her chest. Something that had been locked tight since David died. "I'm sorry," Madison whispered into their hair. "I'm so sorry. I'm going to do better. I promise." Emma pulled back, signed something slow and careful. Madison shook her head. "I don't understand yet, but I'm learning. I'm really learning." Grace ran to get paper and pencil. Wrote in careful letters, "You tried." 2 words, but they meant everything. "I did, and I'll keep trying, every day." Emma wrote, "Will Mr. Daniel come back?" Madison's throat tightened. "Do you want him to?" Both girls nodded so hard their hair flew. "He was teaching us so much." Emma's pencil moved fast. "He's really nice. He makes us laugh. He understands." Madison looked at the hope in their faces, the fear that she'd say no. "I'll talk to him." The words came out rough. "I'll make it right, I promise." She kissed them both. Got up to leave for work. Grace grabbed her hand, signed something. Madison looked helpless. "I'm sorry, baby. I don't know that one yet." Emma wrote, "She said don't work too much today." Madison's eyes stung. "I won't. I promise. I'll be home for dinner." The girls' faces lit up like she'd promised them the world. Maybe she had. Madison made it to her car before she broke down again, gripped the steering wheel and sobbed. Loud, ugly crying that shook her whole body. Her phone rang. Her assistant. Madison ignored it. She couldn't go to the office yet. Couldn't face the board. Couldn't pretend everything was fine. She drove to Hayes Corporation instead, parked in her reserved spot, took the service elevator down to the basement. The maintenance area was quiet. Early shift hadn't started yet. Madison walked past mops and cleaning supplies, past storage closets and equipment, looking for Daniel's locker. She found it in the back corner. Number 42, his name on a strip of tape. Faded. Like he'd been invisible even here. Madison stared at the locker. What was she doing? She was CEO of this company. She didn't chase down janitors in basements. But this wasn't about business. This was about her daughters. About the man who'd shown them more kindness in 2 weeks than Madison had managed in 2 years. She heard footsteps. Turned. An older man in maintenance uniform rounded the corner, stopped when he saw her. "Mrs. Hayes, ma'am, is everything okay?" Madison recognized him. Frank, head of maintenance, 20 years with the company. "I'm looking for Daniel Miller." Frank's eyebrows rose. "Daniel, he's not in yet, doesn't start until 7. "I need to speak with him. It's important." "Is there a problem? Did he do something wrong?" "No, the opposite, actually." Madison heard how strange that sounded. "He's been helping my daughters. I need to thank him properly." Frank's weathered face softened. "That sounds like Daniel. Always helping. Never asks for anything back." "How long have you known him?" 5 years. Since he started. Best worker I've ever had. Never complains. Never calls in sick. Takes every extra shift I offer." Frank paused. "Though I've been worried about him lately." "Why?" "He seems tired. More than usual. I asked if everything was okay at home. He said yes. But I don't know. There's something sad in his eyes." Madison thought about the employee file. No emergency contact. No next of kin. "Does he have family?" Frank shook his head. "Lost his wife about 6 years ago. His younger brother died not long after. Had some kind of disability. Daniel took care of him for years. After he passed, Daniel just sort of drifted. Ended up here." Madison's chest tightened. "His brother. Was he deaf?" "That's right." "How'd you know?" "Lucky guess." Madison's mind raced. Daniel had taken care of a deaf brother, lost him, then gave up teaching to push a mop. He was running from something, or hiding from it. "Mrs. Hayes," Frank's voice pulled her back. "If you want to wait, Daniel usually gets here early, around 6:30. Madison checked her watch. 20 minutes. "I'll wait." She found a bench near the service entrance, sat down. CEO of Hayes Corporation, waiting in a basement for a janitor. If the board could see her now. But Madison didn't care. For the first time in years, the company wasn't her priority. Her daughters were, and the man who'd given them their voices back. At 6:27, the service door opened. Daniel walked in carrying a worn backpack. He looked tired. His shoulders slumped like he carried weight Madison couldn't see. He saw her. Froze. "Mrs. Hayes?" Madison stood. "Mr. Miller, we need to talk." Daniel set his backpack down slowly. His eyes never left Madison's face. "If this is about yesterday, Mrs. Hayes, I understand. I overstepped. It won't happen again. That's not why I'm here." "Then why are you here at 6:30 in the morning, in the maintenance area?" Madison took a breath. The apology stuck in her throat. She'd fired people with less effort than this took. "My daughters asked about you. At breakfast. They wanted to know if you were coming back." Daniel's expression didn't change. "And what did you tell them?" "That I'd talk to you, that I'd make it right." "Make what right?" "Everything." The word came out raw. "I was wrong, yesterday. The things I said, the way I treated you. I was scared and angry, and I took it out on you when you were just trying to help." Daniel studied her for a long moment. "You don't owe me an apology, Mrs. Hayes. You were protecting your daughters. Any parent would have reacted the same way." "No, they wouldn't have." Madison's voice cracked. "A good parent would have known their children needed help. Would have learned sign language 2 years ago. Would have been home for dinner instead of closing deals." "You didn't know." "I should have known. I'm their mother." Daniel picked up his backpack, started walking toward the lockers. Madison followed. "The girls wrote me a note this morning." She kept talking to his back. "Grace said I tried." Just those 2 words. Like the bar is so low that attempting to communicate with my own children deserves praise. Daniel opened his locker, hung up his backpack. "Kids are forgiving, more than adults. They shouldn't have to forgive me. I should have done better from the start." He turned. "So do better now. That's all you can do." "I want to, but I don't know how." Madison hated how small her voice sounded. "I've been watching ASL videos all night. My hands don't work right. Nothing makes sense. I'm trying, but it's not enough." "Learning a language takes time." "I don't have time. They're slipping away from me. I can feel it. Every day they grow a little more distant. Every day I lose a little more of them." Daniel closed his locker, leaned against it. "Mrs. Hayes, can I ask you something?" "Yes." "Why didn't you learn sign language when they were first diagnosed?" The question hit like a fist. Madison looked away. "The doctors said oral communication was better. That if we pushed them to speak and read lips, they'd integrate better with hearing kids. That sign language would hold them back, make them different." "And you believe them?" "Yes. No. I don't know." Madison pressed her palms against her eyes. "My husband David wanted to learn ASL immediately. He started taking classes the week we got the diagnosis. He tried to get me to come with him, but I was busy. Always busy. I told him I'd learn later. That we should focus on speech therapy first. That the experts knew best. But David died before he could teach me. Car accident, 2 years ago, and suddenly I was alone with 2 deaf daughters and no idea how to reach them. So I just kept doing what the therapist said. Kept throwing money at the problem. Kept telling myself I was doing enough." "Were you?" "No." The word broke something open inside her. "I was doing what was easy for me. What let me pretend everything was fine. Because if I admitted they needed sign language, I'd have to admit I'd wasted 2 years, that I'd ignored what David wanted, that I'd failed them. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. My younger brother was deaf, born that way. My parents tried the oral route too, spent years forcing him to speak, to fit in. He hated it, hated them for making him pretend to be something he wasn't. What happened? They died when I was 25. House fire. Marcus was 15. Angry, isolated, didn't trust anyone. Daniel's voice went distant. I took custody, quit my job, moved us to a new city, learned ASL, enrolled him in a deaf school, let him be himself for the first time in his life. You gave up everything for him. He was my brother. It wasn't giving up. It was choosing right. Madison felt tears prick her eyes. Your file says you worked at St. Mary's School for the Deaf as a teaching assistant. That's right. You left 3 years ago, became a janitor. Why? Daniel's jaw tightened. Marcus got sick. Leukemia. Aggressive. We tried everything, but it spread too fast. He died 6 months later. After that, I couldn't be around deaf kids anymore. Couldn't watch them sign and laugh and live when Marcus couldn't. So I quit. Found a job where I didn't have to think. Where I could just exist. But you helped Emma and Grace. That was different. How? Because they needed me, and I couldn't walk away. Daniel met her eyes. The first time I saw them in your office building, they were with Maria. She was trying to get them to tell her what they wanted for lunch. They were frustrated, signing over and over. She didn't understand. They gave up. Just pointed at pictures on her phone. And I saw Marcus in their faces. That same defeat. Madison's chest hurt. So you offered to help? No. I avoided them. For weeks. Told myself it wasn't my business. But then one day, I was emptying trash in the break room and I heard crying. Found Emma hiding under a table. She'd gotten in trouble at school for using sign language in class. The teacher said she needed to use her words. She was 7 years old and someone had punished her for speaking her own language. What did you do? I sat down on the floor, asked her in sign if she was okay. Her face lit up, like I'd given her a gift. We talked for maybe 5 minutes before Maria found us. After that, Emma and Grace would wait for me, wave when I walked by, try to tell me about their day in broken signs they'd taught themselves from YouTube videos, and I couldn't ignore them anymore. Madison wiped her eyes. Thank you for seeing them, for caring when I was too blind to notice. You're here now, that's what matters. Is it because I don't feel like I'm here? I feel like I'm 2 years too late and 1,000 miles behind. Madison's voice shook. This morning I tried to sign good morning to Grace. She hugged me so hard we almost fell off the bed. And I realized that one simple gesture meant more to her than every expensive toy, every private tutor, every sacrifice I thought I was making. I've been giving them everything except what they actually needed. Me. Present. Trying. Daniel pushed off from the locker. Mrs. Hayes, can I be honest with you? Please. You're scared. I get it. You're scared of failing them again. Scared of not being enough. But that fear is keeping you stuck. Your daughters don't need you to be perfect. They need you to show up, to try, to let them teach you their language instead of forcing them to learn yours. But what if I can't learn fast enough? What if they give up on me? They won't. Kids don't give up on their parents, even when maybe they should. They keep hoping, keep waiting, keep loving. The question is, will you let them? Madison felt something shift inside her. A door opening, light pouring through. Will you come back? The question came out before she could stop it. To the house, to keep teaching them, to teach me. Daniel hesitated. Mrs. Hayes, I don't think that's appropriate. You have resources, money. You can hire the best ASL tutor in the state. I don't want the best tutor. I want you. Why? Because my daughters trust you. Because you've already done in 2 weeks what a dozen professionals couldn't do in 2 years. Because you understand what it's like to lose someone and have to keep going. Because you see them as people, not problems to fix. Madison's voice steadied. And because I think you need them too. Daniel's composure cracked for just a second. That's not fair. Probably not, but it's true. He ran a hand through his hair, looked away. I can't replace their father, Mrs. Hayes. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to help me be a better mother, to help them be heard. That's all. That's not all. You're asking me to open a door I've kept closed for 3 years, to let myself care about kids again, to risk losing them when you decide you don't need me anymore. The raw honesty in his voice made Madison's breath catch. I can't promise I won't mess this up. I probably will. But I can promise I won't shut you out. Not when you've given my daughters something I couldn't. A voice. A connection. Joy. Daniel was quiet for so long Madison thought he'd say no. Then he sighed. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 to 7:30. That's all I can manage with my work schedule. Relief flooded through her. That's perfect. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to be hard work. For all of you. I know. And if you miss sessions, if you prioritize work over your daughters again, I'm out. I won't watch you hurt them. The words should have made Madison angry. Instead, they made her respect him more. Fair enough. Daniel grabbed his cleaning cart, started to walk away, stopped. Mrs. Hayes, one more thing. Yes. Your daughters are amazing, bright and funny and kind. They love dinosaurs and painting and making up stories. Emma wants to be an artist. Grace wants to be a paleontologist. They have best friends named Sophie and Clara. They hate broccoli but love carrots. Grace is terrified of dogs, but Emma wants one desperately. They miss their father every single day, but they're too scared to talk to you about it because they don't want to make you sad. Madison couldn't breathe. How do you know all that? Because I asked, and I listened. Daniel met her eyes. That's all they want from you. Questions and listening. Everything else is just noise. Then he was gone, pushing his cart down the hallway, leaving Madison standing alone in the basement, with tears streaming down her face. She pulled out her phone, texted her assistant. Cancel all my meetings today. Family emergency. Her assistant replied immediately. Is everything okay? Madison stared at the message. For the first time in 2 years, the answer was almost yes. Getting there. I'll be unreachable until tomorrow. She drove home. It was barely 7:30. The girls would still be getting ready for school. Maria met her at the door, eyes wide. Mrs. Hayes, you're home? Is something wrong? No, something's right for once. Madison kicked off her heels. Are the girls still here? Getting dressed. School starts at 8. Call them in sick. We're taking a day. Sick, but they're not sick. Mental health day then. Family day. Whatever you want to call it. We're staying home together. Maria's face broke into a smile. I'll pack them a lunch for later. And Mrs. Hayes. This is good. Very good. Madison climbed the stairs, knocked on the twins' door. Come in. Emma's muffled voice called. Madison opened the door. Both girls were in their school uniforms. They froze when they saw her. You're home. Emma's hand signed the words as she spoke them. Madison recognized the sign now. I'm home, and you're not going to school today. Why not? Grace's hands flew. Are we in trouble? Madison knelt down to their level, tried the sign she'd practiced all night. No trouble. I want to spend the day with you. Just us. Is that okay? Both girls stared at her hands, at her face, at her hands again. Then they tackled her, both of them at once, giggling and signing and hugging her so tight Madison couldn't breathe. She didn't care. She hugged them back and laughed and cried at the same time. So what do you want to do today? Madison pulled back to look at them. Anything you want. Museum Park Art Supplies Dinosaur Books. Emma and Grace exchanged glances. Some silent twin communication Madison had never been able to crack. Grace signed something. Emma nodded eagerly. They both looked at Madison with hopeful faces. "I'm sorry, babies. I don't know that sign yet." Emma ran to get the notebook, wrote quickly, showed Madison. "Can we go to the deaf school? To see Sophie and Clara? They've been asking us to visit." Madison's throat tightened. "Of course we can. Where is it?" "St. Mary's School for the Deaf." Emma wrote the address. The same school where Daniel had worked, where he'd walked away from after Marcus died. "Let's go then. Get changed into comfortable clothes." The girls scrambled to their closet. Madison walked to her room, changed out of her suit into jeans and a sweater, pulled her hair down, looked at herself in the mirror. She looked tired, older, but also lighter somehow, like she'd put down weight she'd been carrying too long. Her phone buzzed. The board chair. The third call this morning. Madison turned the phone off completely, tossed it on her bed. Whatever crisis they were dealing with could wait. Her daughters couldn't. The drive to St. Mary's took 40 minutes. Emma and Grace sat in the back signing to each other excitedly. Madison watched them in the rearview mirror and felt her heart expand. When had they gotten so animated? So alive? Had they always been this way, and she'd just been too busy to notice? They pulled into the school parking lot. It was a low brick building with a playground out front. Kids were everywhere, running, playing, hands flying in conversations Madison couldn't follow. Emma and Grace pressed their faces to the window. "Can we get out?" Emma turned to ask. "Of course, lead the way." They burst out of the car and ran toward the playground. A group of girls spotted them and screamed. Silent screams, but full of joy. Sophie and Clara Madison guessed. They hugged Emma and Grace and immediately started signing rapidly. Madison walked closer, stood at the edge of the playground, watching her daughters light up in a way she'd never seen before. They belonged here, in this world of flying hands and silent laughter, and kids who understood them completely. And Madison was on the outside looking in. The way Emma and Grace felt every day in her world. "They're beautiful together, aren't they?" Madison turned. A woman in her 50s stood beside her, salt and pepper hair, kind eyes behind glasses. "Yes, they are." "I'm Principal Rodriguez. Are you Emma and Grace's mother?" "Madison Hayes." "Yes." Madison shook her hand. "I hope it's okay that we came. The girls wanted to visit their friends." "More than okay. We love when families visit. It helps parents understand what we do here." Principal Rodriguez watched the girls play. "Emma and Grace are welcome to enroll any time. We have spots available in the second grade class." Madison felt her stomach drop. Enroll here. But they're in a regular school, with hearing kids. Mainstreaming is supposed to be better for their development. Principal Rodriguez's smile was gentle. Better according to who? The question echoed what Daniel had asked. Best for who? The therapists, the specialists. Everyone said mainstreaming was the right choice. For some kids, maybe. But every child is different. Emma and Grace are thriving socially right now because they're with peers who share their language. Look at them. Madison looked. Her daughters were in the center of a group of kids, all signing, all laughing. Grace was telling some elaborate story with her hands. Emma was adding details. The other kids were riveted. At their regular school, Emma and Grace sat alone at lunch, played alone at recess, came home frustrated and tired from trying to lip read all day. But if they only spend time with deaf kids, won't that limit them? Won't they struggle in the real world? The deaf community is the real world, Mrs. Hayes. Just a different part of it. Principal Rodriguez gestured toward the building. Our students learn ASL as their primary language, but they also learn to read and write English. They take the same standardized tests as hearing kids. Many go on to mainstream high schools and colleges if they choose. We're not limiting them. We're giving them a foundation, a community, a place where being deaf isn't something to fix or overcome. It's just who they are. Madison felt something crack open wider in her chest. I've been doing this all wrong, haven't I? You've been doing the best you could with the information you had. Now you have new information. The question is, what will you do with it? A bell rang. Silent, but accompanied by flashing lights. Kids started heading inside. Emma and Grace ran over. "Can we see Sophie's classroom?" Emma's hands and voice asked together. "If Principal Rodriguez says it's okay." "Of course. Come on, I'll give you a tour." They walked through hallways covered in student art and photos and posters with ASL signs. Every teacher they passed signed greetings to the students. Every conversation was visual and alive. Madison felt like she'd stepped into a different world. Not a lesser world, just different. Beautiful in its own way. Sophie's classroom had a circle of desks. A teacher was reading a story in sign. All the students watched intently. No one was bored or distracted. They were engaged in a way Madison rarely saw in hearing classrooms. "This is Ms. Chen," Principal Rodriguez introduced them. "She teaches our second graders." Ms. Chen signed something to Emma and Grace. They signed back enthusiastically. "What did she say?" Madison asked. "She said Emma and Grace are always welcome to visit, and she hopes they'll consider joining the class permanently." Emma tugged Madison's sleeve, signed slowly. "Can we, Mama? Can we come to school here?" Madison looked at her daughter's hopeful face, at the classroom full of kids like her, at the world where Emma wouldn't have to struggle to understand every word. "Can I think about it?" Emma's face fell. "That means no. No, baby. That means I want to make sure it's the right choice. For you and Grace. Not for me. For you." "It is the right choice," Grace signed emphatically. "We want to be here, with kids who understand us. Then we'll talk about it, as a family, tonight. I promise." The girls nodded reluctantly. Not satisfied, but willing to wait. They finished the tour, said goodbye to Sophie and Clara, drove home in silence. Madison's mind raced. Changing schools was a huge decision. It meant admitting she'd had them in the wrong place for 2 years. It meant restructuring her entire schedule. It meant accepting that her daughter's world would become increasingly separate from hers. It meant letting go of the life she'd imagined for them and embracing the life they needed. Back home, Maria had made lunch. The girls ate quickly, then ran upstairs to play. Madison sat at the kitchen table with coffee growing cold in her hands. "You look troubled." Maria set a plate of food in front of her. "They want to switch schools, to St. Mary's." "The deaf school?" "Yes." "And you don't want them to go?" "I don't know what I want." Madison pushed the plate away. "Part of me thinks it's the right choice. They were so happy there, so comfortable. But part of me is scared that if they go, I'll lose them completely. They'll have this whole life I'm not part of, friends I can't talk to, experiences I can't share. They'll grow up and I'll be the outsider in my own daughter's lives." Maria sat down across from her. "Mrs. Hayes, can I tell you something? Something maybe you don't want to hear. Please. You're already the outsider. Right now. Today. You've been the outsider since Mr. David died, and you buried yourself in work. This isn't about the school. This is about you being afraid to do the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing, which is to enter their world instead of forcing them into yours." The words hit like cold water. Madison stared at Maria. "You think I'm selfish. I think you're scared. There's a difference." Maria's voice was gentle but firm. "You lost your husband. You're terrified of losing your daughters too. So you hold on tight. Try to control everything. Make them fit into your world because that feels safer than stepping into theirs. I'm not trying to control them. No, then why does the idea of them going to a deaf school make you panic? Why does their happiness there feel like a threat? Madison opened her mouth, closed it, because Maria was right. I don't know how to be part of their world. The admission felt like failure. I don't know the language. I don't understand the culture. I'm starting from zero while they're already miles ahead. So start from zero. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. They're asking you to try. What if trying isn't enough? Then you try harder. Maria stood and squeezed Madison's shoulder. Those girls love you, Mrs. Hayes. But love isn't enough if you're not present for it. Mr. David knew that. That's why he started learning sign language immediately. Not because he was better than you, because he was scared too. And he chose to be scared and try anyway. The mention of David hit hard. Madison pressed her palms against her eyes. He'd be so disappointed in me. Maybe. Or maybe he'd understand that grief makes us do stupid things, makes us run from the very people we need most. Maria walked to the sink, started washing dishes. But he's not here, so the question is, what are you going to do now? Madison sat there for a long time after Maria left. The house was quiet except for the sound of the girls playing upstairs, their footsteps, their laughter. She pulled out her phone, turned it back on. 17 missed calls, 23 emails marked urgent. Madison opened a new message to her assistant. I need you to clear my schedule for the next 3 months. Move everything that can be moved. Delegate everything that can be delegated. Cancel everything else. The response came back immediately. Are you serious? Completely serious. Family comes first. The board will understand. Another pause. Then, the board is not going to understand. You're the CEO. You can't just disappear for 3 months. Watch me. Madison sent the message and turned the phone off again. Her hands were shaking. She'd just potentially destroyed her career. The company she'd built from nothing. The empire she'd sacrificed everything for. And she didn't care. She climbed the stairs to the twins' room. They were building something elaborate with blocks. A castle, maybe. Or a dinosaur habitat. They were so absorbed they didn't notice her at first. Madison knocked on the doorframe. Both girls looked up. Can we talk? Madison tried to sign it. Her hands clumsy but earnest. Emma and Grace nodded, moved apart to make room for her on the floor. Madison sat down cross-legged. Suddenly she felt like the child, and they were the adults. I've been thinking about St. Mary's. About what you asked. Both girls went very still, waiting. I think you should go there, if that's what you really want. Emma's face lit up. Grace started signing rapidly. But, Madison held up a hand. I have conditions. The girls stopped, suspicious now. I want to visit the school with you, talk to the teachers, understand what you'll be learning. And I want to take ASL classes, real classes, not just YouTube videos, so I can be part of your world there. Can you agree to that? Emma threw her arms around Madison's neck. Grace crashed into them both. They sat there in a pile on the floor, and Madison felt something she hadn't felt in 2 years. Hope. That evening, Daniel arrived at 6 exactly. Madison opened the door before he could knock. Hi. Hi. Daniel looked uncertain, like he wasn't sure of his welcome. The girls ready? They're ready, but I need to tell you something first. His expression shuddered. You changed your mind about the lessons. No, the opposite actually. Madison stepped aside to let him in. I took them to St. Mary's today. The girls want to transfer there. And I agreed. Daniel went very still. You took them to St. Mary's. Yes. They wanted to visit their friends. We got a tour. Met Principal Rodriguez. Saw Ms. Chen's classroom. Madison watched his face carefully. The girls were happier there than I've seen them in months. Maybe years. So I said yes. That's good. Daniel's voice was flat. controlled. That's really good for them. You worked there before. You know I did. Principal Rodriguez mentioned you. Said you were one of the best teaching assistants they'd ever had. That the students loved you. That they were devastated when you left. Daniel's jaw tightened. That was a long time ago. 3 years, not that long. Long enough. He looked toward the stairs. Are the girls coming down or should I go up? Daniel, wait. Madison touched his arm. He flinched but didn't pull away. I'm not trying to upset you. I just thought you should know. In case seeing them talk about St. Mary's is hard for you. His eyes finally met hers. Everything about this is hard for me, Mrs. Hayes. Being in your home, teaching your daughters, caring about them, watching them grow and laugh and live when Marcus can't. It's all hard. But I'm here anyway because they need it. And maybe because I need it too. Even if it kills me a little bit every time. The raw honesty took Madison's breath away. I'm sorry. I didn't think about what this was costing you. Don't be sorry. Just let me do my job. He pulled away gently. Where are Emma and Grace? I'm right here, Mr. D. Emma came bouncing down the stairs, Grace right behind her. Both girls crashed into Daniel with hugs. His whole face transformed. The tension melted, the sadness lifted. He became someone younger, lighter. He signed something that made both girls giggle. What did you say? Madison asked. I told them they're going to squeeze all the air out of me if they hug any tighter. We don't care. Emma signed and spoke together. You're our favorite. Daniel's eyes got shiny. He cleared his throat. Okay. Let's get to work. We have a lot to cover tonight. They set up at the kitchen table. Daniel had brought worksheets and flashcards and a book of ASL stories. Mrs. Hayes, you're welcome to join us. He pulled out a fourth chair. Really, the best way to learn is immersion, and the girls can help teach you. Right, girls? Emma and Grace nodded enthusiastically. Madison sat down feeling like a student on the first day of school, nervous, inadequate, excited. Daniel started with basics, the alphabet, numbers, common phrases. Madison's hands fumbled through the shapes. Emma and Grace were patient teachers. They'd correct her gently, show her again, clap when she got it right. An hour passed like minutes. Okay, let's try something harder. Daniel signed as he spoke. I want each of you to tell me about your day, using signs. Emma, you first. Emma's hands flew, telling the story of their visit to St. Mary's. How exciting it was. How the other kids welcomed them. How much she wanted to go there. Madison understood maybe a third of it. But she watched her daughter's face, the animation, the joy, and understood everything that mattered. Grace, your turn. Grace signed more slowly, more deliberately. She talked about being scared that Madison would say no, about how happy she was when Madison said yes, about wanting her mama to learn ASL so they could really talk. Daniel translated the parts Madison missed, his voice soft. Now you, Mrs. Hayes. Madison's stomach dropped. I can't tell a whole story yet. Try. The girls will help. Madison took a breath, started signing clumsily. Today, I saw my daughters happy. Really happy. It made me realize I've been doing things wrong. I'm sorry. I want to do better. I love you both very much. Her hands were shaking. Half the signs were probably wrong, but Emma and Grace were crying. They got up and hugged her. Signed, I love you back. Daniel looked away, wiped his eyes quickly. They worked for another 30 minutes. Then Daniel packed up his materials. Same time Thursday. Actually. Madison hesitated. I was wondering if you'd consider coming 3 times a week instead of 2. I know that's asking a lot with your schedule. Daniel paused. Why 3 times? Because the girls are starting at St. Mary's next Monday. That gives us less than a week to prepare. I want them to feel confident, and I want to be able to communicate with their teachers and new friends, even if it's just basic conversation. Next Monday, that's fast. I don't want them to spend one more day struggling in a place where they don't belong, not when there's a place where they do. Daniel studied her face for a long moment. Okay, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I need you to do something for me. Anything. Take a formal ASL class. From a deaf instructor, not me. The girls and I can practice with you, but you need proper instruction. From someone in the deaf community. Where do I find that? There's a community center downtown. Offers beginner ASL every Tuesday and Thursday evening, 7 to 9. It's taught by a deaf woman named Patricia. She's tough but excellent. I'll sign up tomorrow. Daniel nodded. Good. And Mrs. Hayes? You did well tonight. The girls could tell you were really trying. That matters more than getting every sign perfect. After he left, Madison helped the girls get ready for bed. They were practically vibrating with excitement about starting St. Mary's. What if the other kids don't like us? Emma asked as Madison tucked her in. They already like you. Sophie and Clara are your friends. And you'll make more friends. You're both wonderful. What if we're behind? What if everyone else is better at signing? Then you'll learn. Just like I'm learning. We'll all learn together. Grace signed something Madison was starting to recognize. Will you come to school with us the first day? If you want me to, yes. Both girls nodded. Then I'll be there. And I'll embarrass you with my terrible signing, and you can teach me the right way to do it later. Deal. The girls giggled. Deal. Madison kissed them goodnight and went downstairs. Maria was cleaning up the kitchen. You did good today, Mrs. Hayes. I'm trying. I know, and it shows. Maria hung up her apron. I'm proud of you. The words made Madison's throat tight. Thank you, Maria, for everything. For bringing Daniel into our lives. For pushing me when I needed it. For loving my daughters when I was too lost to do it properly. I didn't do anything special. I just saw what they needed and helped them get it. That's everything, Maria. That's everything. The next morning, Madison woke up with purpose. She made breakfast for the girls. Actually made it. Not Maria. Her. The pancakes were lumpy and slightly burned, but Emma and Grace ate them like they were gourmet. After dropping the girls at school, Madison drove to the community center. Found Patricia's office. A woman in her 60s looked up when Madison knocked. She signed something. Madison signed back clumsily. Hello, my name is Madison. I want to learn ASL. Patricia smiled and spoke in a voice that sounded different. The accent of someone who'd been deaf their whole life. Good. You come Tuesday and Thursday, 7 o'clock. Don't be late. I won't be, thank you. Why you want to learn? Most hearing people don't bother. My daughters are deaf. They're starting at St. Mary's next week. I need to be able to talk with them. Really talk. Patricia's expression softened. You're late to start, but not too late, if you work hard. I'll work hard. Good. See you Tuesday. Madison left feeling like she'd just made a commitment that would change her life. Maybe she had. The rest of the week passed in a blur. Daniel came Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They practiced for hours. Madison's hands ached. Her brain hurt from trying to think in a visual language. But she kept going. Tuesday and Thursday nights, she went to Patricia's class. There were 12 other students. Some were parents of deaf children. Some had deaf partners. Some just wanted to learn. Patricia was tough. She'd stop Madison mid-sign and make her do it again and again. Until it was right. Lazy hands make lazy communication, Patricia would say. If you're going to sign with intention. Make your hands tell the truth. Madison worked harder than she'd worked on anything in her life. Harder than business school. Harder than building her company. Because this mattered more. Friday evening, Daniel brought a surprise. A video call with a former student of his from St. Mary's, a teenager named Marcus. Madison froze when she heard the name. The boy on screen was maybe 16. He signed rapidly at Daniel. Daniel signed back, both of them smiling. After they hung up, Emma asked, "Is that the Marcus you told us about your brother?" Daniel's face went still. "No, different Marcus. My brother died 3 years ago." "I'm sorry." Emma signed. "That's really sad." "It is. But talking to Marcus on the screen helps. Reminds me that my brother would want me to keep going. Keep helping kids like him." Grace signed something Madison had learned earlier that week. "We're glad you're helping us." Daniel's eyes got shiny again. He seemed to cry more easily around the girls than around Madison, like they'd broken down walls he kept up with adults. "I'm glad too, Grace. You and Emma have given me something I didn't know I needed." "What's that?" Emma asked. "A reason to remember without hurting. A way to honor Marcus by helping other kids like him. You've given me a gift, even if you didn't know it." The girls hugged him. Madison looked away to give them a moment. When Daniel left that night, Madison walked him to his car. "Thank you." She signed it as she said it. "For what?" "For trusting me with that. With Marcus's story. With your grief. I know it wasn't easy." "Nothing about this is easy." Daniel leaned against his car. "But it's good. Hard and good at the same time. Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense." He looked at her in the dim light. "You're doing really well, Mrs. Hayes. With the signing. With the girls. With all of it." "Call me Madison, please. Mrs. Hayes makes me sound like someone I'm trying not to be anymore." "Okay. Madison." He said her name carefully, like he was testing it out. "I'll see you Monday." "Actually, about Monday. I was hoping you'd come with us, to St. Mary's, for the girls' first day." Daniel's face went pale. "Madison, I can't. I haven't been back there since I quit. I can't just walk in like nothing happened." "The girls are scared. You being there would help them feel safe." "I'd make it worse. I'd see all the kids who knew Marcus. All the teachers who watched me fall apart. I can't do it." Madison heard the panic in his voice. She backed off. "Okay, I understand. It was wrong of me to ask. I'm sorry." "Don't be. You've already given us so much. I shouldn't ask for more." But as Daniel drove away, Madison felt worry settle in her chest. The girls would be devastated if he wasn't there. And truthfully, so would she. The weekend passed too quickly. Saturday they went shopping for St. Mary's uniforms. Sunday they packed bags and labeled supplies and tried on outfits 3 times. That night, neither girl could sleep. They came into Madison's room at 11. "We're scared." Emma climbed into bed without asking. Grace followed. "What if we don't fit in?" Madison pulled them close. "You'll fit in perfectly, because St. Mary's is made for kids like you. You won't have to work so hard to understand. You won't have to pretend to be something you're not. You'll just get to be Emma and Grace, and that's more than enough." "Will Mr. Daniel be there?" Grace asked. Madison's heart sank. "I don't think so, baby. St. Mary's is hard for him to visit, because of his brother. But we need him." Emma's voice was small. "I know. But sometimes people need to take care of themselves first. We have to respect that." The girls fell asleep in Madison's bed. She lay awake watching them and praying tomorrow would go well. Monday morning came too fast. They got dressed in their new uniforms. Navy skirts, white shirts, navy sweaters with the St. Mary's crest. They looked so small and scared. Maria made a special breakfast, hugged the girls 3 times, slipped encouraging notes into their lunch boxes. The drive to St. Mary's felt longer than it had the week before. Emma and Grace were silent in the back seat, holding hands, both of them pale. Madison pulled into the parking lot at 7:45. School started at 8. They sat in the car. Nobody moved. "We can do this." Madison turned around to look at them. "We're brave, all three of us." "Right, right." Emma's voice shook. They got out of the car, started walking toward the entrance. Madison held both girls' hands, her heart pounding. And then she saw him. Daniel, standing by the front door, wearing khakis and a button-down shirt, his hands in his pockets, his face pale but determined. Emma saw him at the same time. She let go of Madison's hand and ran. Grace was right behind her. They crashed into Daniel and he caught them both, held them tight. Madison walked up slowly, her eyes stinging. "You came." Her voice broke. "I came." Daniel's voice was rough. "I couldn't let them do this alone. Couldn't let you do this alone either." "But you said you couldn't be here." "I know what I said. I was scared. Still am. Terrified, actually. But these girls are braver than me, so I figured I should at least try to be half as brave as them." Emma looked up at him. "Are you okay, Mr. D?" "I will be, as long as you two are with me." Principal Rodriguez appeared in the doorway. She saw Daniel and froze. Then her face broke into the biggest smile Madison had ever seen. "Daniel Miller, as I live and breathe." She came down the steps. "I never thought I'd see you here again. I never thought I'd be here again." Daniel's voice shook. "But Emma and Grace are starting today, and I couldn't let them come alone." Principal Rodriguez's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Daniel, we've missed you. The whole school has missed you. I've missed this place too, more than I wanted to admit." Other teachers started arriving. Several of them saw Daniel and stopped, then came over, signing greetings, hugging him, welcoming him back. Madison watched Daniel's face transform. The tension ease, the grief soften. He wasn't just here for Emma and Grace anymore. He was here for himself too. Coming home to a place he'd run from. Ms. Chen appeared. She signed something rapid to Daniel. He laughed and signed back. "She says I look old." Daniel translated for Madison. "You do not," Emma protested. "I kind of do." Daniel ruffled her hair. 3 years does that to a person." The bell rang. Lights flashed. "Time to go in." Ms. Chen signed to the girls. "Ready?" Emma and Grace looked at Madison. Madison knelt down, signed what she'd been practicing all week. "You've got this. Be brave. I love you." Emma hugged her tight. "Will you be here when school ends?" "I'll be right here, 3 o'clock, I promise." Grace signed something Madison didn't quite catch. Daniel translated quietly. "She wants to know if you'll really be here, or if work will come up." The question stabbed straight through Madison's chest. She took Grace's hands in hers. "I will be here. Work doesn't matter more than you. Nothing matters more than you. Not anymore." Grace searched her face, then nodded, satisfied. Daniel walked them to their classroom. Madison and Principal Rodriguez followed. The classroom was already filling with students. Sophie and Clara waved excitedly when they saw Emma and Grace. Other kids came over to introduce themselves, hands flying in welcome. Ms. Chen guided the twins to their desks, right next to Sophie and Clara. Perfect placement. Emma looked back at Madison, scared, but trying to be brave. Madison signed, "I love you." Emma signed it back. Then Ms. Chen started the morning lesson, and Emma turned around, focused on her teacher, on her new classmates, on this world where she finally belonged. Madison backed out of the classroom. Daniel followed. Principal Rodriguez walked them toward the exit. "Thank you for coming, Daniel." The principal's voice was warm. "It means more than you know. The students who remember you have been asking about you for 3 years. I should have come back sooner." Daniel's voice was tight. "I was a coward. You were grieving. There's a difference." They reached the front doors. Madison could see parents dropping off more students, the parking lot filling up. "Daniel, can I ask you something?" Principal Rodriguez stopped walking. Would you consider coming back? Not as a janitor, as a teaching assistant again. We have an opening in the 3rd grade class. The pay isn't great, but it's better than maintenance work. And you'd be doing what you were meant to do. Daniel went pale. I don't know if I can. You just walked through these doors. That's the hardest part. The rest is just showing up. Let me think about it. Take your time. The job will be here when you're ready. She turned to Madison. And Mrs. Hayes, you're welcome to volunteer here any time. We always need parents who can sign, even if they're still learning. Madison felt a spark of possibility. Really? What would I do? Read to students during library time. Help in the art room. Assist with lunch duty. Whatever you're comfortable with. I'd like that. Once I'm more confident with my signing. You're more confident than you think. I watched you with Emma and Grace just now. You communicated what mattered. That's all signing is, making sure what matters gets said. After Principal Rodriguez left Madison and Daniel stood awkwardly in the parking lot. You didn't have to come, Madison said quietly. But I'm so glad you did. Me too, surprisingly. Daniel looked back at the building. It hurt less than I expected, being here, seeing the kids. Maybe because I wasn't alone this time. You're never alone. Not anymore. Emma and Grace would never allow it. And neither would I. Daniel met her eyes. Something passed between them. Understanding. Connection. Something neither of them wanted to name yet. I should get to work. Daniel checked his watch. I'm already 2 hours late. Daniel, wait. What Principal Rodriguez said about coming back to teach. Would you really consider it? I don't know. Maybe. Being here today didn't destroy me like I thought it would. But teaching again? That's different. That's committing to care about these kids long term. And I don't know if I can survive losing another one. You won't lose them. They're just kids who need someone like you, someone who understands, someone who sees them. That's what I thought about Marcus, and I lost him anyway. Madison touched his arm gently. You didn't lose Marcus because you cared too much. You lost him because life is cruel and unfair. But pushing away everyone who needs you won't bring him back. It just makes his death mean less. Because he'd want you here. Helping these kids. Living instead of just existing. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. You don't know what he'd want. Yes, I do. Because I know what David would want. He'd want me here, involved in our daughters' lives, learning their language, being present. He'd be furious that I wasted 2 years hiding in my office, and Marcus would be furious that you wasted 3 years hiding in a basement. Daniel laughed wetly. You're probably right. I know I'm right, so think about it. Really think about it. Not just for the kids who need you, for yourself too. I will, I promise. They stood there for another moment. Then Daniel left, and Madison drove home feeling lighter than she had in years. The house was too quiet without the girls. Madison wandered through rooms that suddenly felt too big, too empty. Her phone was full of messages. Her assistant, the board chair, department heads, all demanding her attention. Madison looked at the messages for a long time. Then she started typing. She drafted an email to the board. Professional. Firm. Explaining that she was stepping back from day-to-day operations for the next 6 months. That her daughters needed her. That she was appointing her VP of Operations as interim CEO. That this wasn't up for discussion. Her finger hovered over send. This would change everything. Her reputation, her career, her entire identity. But Emma and Grace were worth it. They were worth everything. Madison hit send. Then she turned off her phone and went to her home office. Pulled out the box she'd been avoiding for 2 years. David's things. Photos. Letters. His wedding ring. His watch. At the bottom of the box was a notebook. Madison opened it with shaking hands. David's handwriting filled the pages. ASL notes. Practice phrases. Little drawings of hand shapes. At the top of the first page he'd written, "Learning to speak Emma and Grace's language. Started 3 days after diagnosis. Goal be fluent by their 2nd birthday." He'd been so determined, so committed. Madison turned pages, watched his progress. His notes got more detailed, more complex. He'd been really learning, really trying. The last entry was dated 2 weeks before he died. Emma signed, "I love you, Daddy," today. Perfect form. She's only 5 years old and already more fluent than me. I need to practice more. They're growing so fast. I don't want to miss anything. Madison closed the notebook and cried. Great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. David had known what mattered, had chosen right every single day, and Madison had spent 2 years choosing wrong. But not anymore. She spent the rest of the day going through David's notes, learning from them, practicing the phrases he'd practiced, feeling close to him in a way she hadn't since he died. At 2:30, she drove back to St. Mary's, got there 20 minutes early, waited in the parking lot with other parents. At exactly 3 o'clock, the lights flashed, doors opened, kids poured out. Madison spotted Emma and Grace immediately. They were holding hands with Sophie and Clara, all 4 girls laughing. When Emma saw Madison, she ran. Grace right behind her. Mama, school was amazing. They crashed into her with hugs, both talking at once, signing rapidly, too fast for Madison to follow. Slow down, one at a time. I'm still learning, remember. Emma took a breath, signed more carefully. Ms. Chen is so nice. And we learned about butterflies. And at lunch we sat with Sophie and Clara and 2 other girls named Amy and Jade. And they taught us a game with hand clapping, and nobody made us read lips or try to speak. We could just sign and everyone understood. Grace nodded enthusiastically, added her own details. Madison caught maybe half of it, but she understood the important part. Her daughters were happy, really, truly happy. I'm so proud of you both. They drove home chattering the whole way. Madison had never heard them so animated, so alive. Maria had made cookies. The girls devoured them while telling her everything about their day. Madison watched them and felt her heart expand. This was what childhood should look like: joy and excitement and belonging. That evening, Daniel came for their regular lesson. The girls mobbed him the second he walked in. Mr. D's school was perfect. They dragged him to the kitchen table and told him everything all over again. He listened patiently, signed responses, asked questions. Madison watched from the doorway, saw how his face lit up when the girls were excited, how gently he corrected their signs, how naturally he fit into their family. When the girls finally took a breath, Daniel looked up and caught Madison staring. She blushed and looked away. Mrs. Hayes, why don't you join us? We're going to practice conversational signing tonight, telling stories back and forth. Madison sat down, tried to keep up as they went around the table. Emma told a story about butterflies. Grace told one about dinosaurs. Daniel told one about a silly dog he'd seen on his way over. Then it was Madison's turn. She signed slowly, carefully, told them about finding David's notebook, about reading his notes, about how proud he'd be of them today. The girls got quiet, their eyes filled with tears. Do you miss Daddy? Emma signed. Every single day. We do too. Grace's hands moved softly. But we don't talk about it because we don't want to make you sad. Madison felt her chest crack open. Oh, babies. You can always talk about Daddy with me. Always. He was your father and you loved him. That doesn't go away just because he's gone. Can we tell you about things we remember? Emma asked. Please. I want to hear everything. Emma signed slowly. I remember how Daddy used to make funny faces at breakfast, and how he'd let us paint his fingernails, and how he sang really badly but we loved it anyway. Grace added her memories. He gave the best piggyback rides, and he read us stories every night. And he was learning to sign so he could talk to us better. He loved you both so much. Madison's voice shook. More than anything in the world. And he'd be so happy to see you at St. Mary's. To see you thriving and happy and surrounded by friends. They sat together in silence for a moment. Then Daniel cleared his throat. Why don't we sign a memory of someone we love who's gone as practice, and as a way to honor them? He went first, signed about Marcus, about how his brother loved video games and terrible jokes and stargazing, about how Marcus taught Daniel that being deaf wasn't a limitation. It was just a different way of experiencing the world. Emma and Grace signed about David. More memories, more love. Then Madison tried. Her signing was clumsy but heartfelt. She told them about how David proposed, how nervous he was, how the ring fell out of his pocket during dinner and rolled under the table, how they both crawled around on the restaurant floor looking for it while other diners stared, how they laughed so hard they cried. The girls had never heard that story. They hung on every sign. When Madison finished, Emma said, "Tell us more, please." So Madison did. She told them about their parents' wedding, about funny things David did, about how much he wanted to be a father, about how the day they were born was the happiest day of his life. Daniel translated when Madison's signing failed, helped her find words she didn't know, made it a conversation instead of a struggle. They talked for 2 hours, way past the scheduled lesson time. Finally, Emma yawned. Grace's eyes were drooping. "Bedtime." Madison stood. "Go brush your teeth." The girls hugged Daniel goodnight, thanked him 3 times, then trudged upstairs. Madison walked Daniel to the door. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For tonight, for this morning, for everything." "You don't need to keep thanking me." "Yes, I do. You've given me my daughters back. You've given me a reason to be better. You've given me hope." Daniel looked at her for a long moment. "You're giving me something too. A reason to remember without drowning. A way back to the life I walked away from. These girls are saving me as much as I'm helping them. Then I guess we're saving each other." Something shifted in the air between them. Madison felt it, saw it reflected in Daniel's eyes. He stepped back quickly. "I should go. See you Wednesday." "Wait, did you think about what Principal Rodriguez said about teaching again?" Daniel paused at the door. "I thought about it. All day, actually. And I think I'm going to do it. Start in 2 weeks. Give me time to transition out of maintenance and get my head together." Madison's face broke into a smile. "Daniel, that's wonderful. The kids are going to be so excited. Emma and Grace will be thrilled." "Don't tell them yet. Not until it's official. I don't want to disappoint them if I chicken out." "You won't chicken out. You're braver than you think." After he left, Madison climbed the stairs. The girls were already in bed but still awake. She sat between them. "I'm proud of you both, for being so brave today, for trying something new, for trusting that St. Mary's would be good." "We're proud of you too, Mama," Emma signed. "For learning our language, for really trying." "I'm going to keep trying, every day, I promise." "We know." Grace snuggled closer. "You're different now. Better." "Better how?" "You smile more. You're home more. You look at us more." Grace's hands moved slowly, thoughtfully. "You're here. Really here. Not just in the house, but here with us." The observation made Madison's eyes sting. "I'm sorry it took me so long to figure that out." "It's okay. You figured it out eventually. That's what matters." Madison kissed them both goodnight, turned off the lights, started to leave. "Mama?" Emma's voice in the darkness. "Yes, baby." "Do you think Mr. D will ever be part of our family, like really part of it?" Madison's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "Like how Daddy was. Sophie's mom got remarried last year. Now Sophie has a stepdad who comes to her school stuff and has dinner with them. Could Mr. D be like that for us?" Madison's heart pounded. "Is that something you'd want? Maybe?" Emma's voice was small. Is that bad, to want that when Daddy hasn't been gone that long? No, sweetheart, it's not bad. Loving someone new doesn't mean you loved Daddy any less. It just means your heart is big enough for more people. Do you like Mr. D? Grace asked. Like how you liked Daddy? Madison sat back down on the bed. I don't know yet. Mr. D is a good man, a kind man, and he's become important to all of us. But right now, we're all just learning how to be in each other's lives. Does that make sense? I guess. Emma sounded disappointed. But if someday things changed, if Mr. D became more than just a teacher and friend, would you be okay with that? Both girls nodded in the darkness. We'd be really okay with it. Grace signed, even though Madison could barely see her hands. Because he makes you smile too, and he makes the house feel less lonely. Madison lay down between them, pulled them close. When did you two get so wise? We've always been wise. Emma giggled. You just weren't paying attention before. You're absolutely right, but I'm paying attention now. They fell asleep like that. All three of them tangled together. A family slowly healing. The next morning, Madison woke up with a plan. She'd been thinking about what Principal Rodriguez said, about volunteering at St. Mary's. She wanted to be involved, wanted to be present in her daughter's world, not just at home, but everywhere. After dropping Emma and Grace at school, Madison went straight to Principal Rodriguez's office. Mrs. Hayes, what a nice surprise. I was thinking about what you said, about volunteering. I'd like to start. Today, if possible. Principal Rodriguez smiled. Eager. I like it. What interests you? We have library time art class, lunch duty, playground supervision. What do you need most? Honestly, we need help in the library. Our librarian, Mrs. Foster, is wonderful, but she's overwhelmed. Having someone to read to small groups would be incredible. I can do that, even with my limited signing. You'd be surprised how much kids understand even when the signing isn't perfect. They care more about effort than accuracy, and Mrs. Foster can help translate if you get stuck. Madison started that day. Mrs. Foster was a kind woman in her 70s who'd been at St. Mary's for 30 years. Don't be nervous, dear. She patted Madison's hand. The children are wonderful. Just read clearly and don't be afraid to use facial expressions. Signing is as much about your face as your hands. Madison read to a group of first graders. A simple story about a lost puppy. She stumbled over signs, mixed up words, had to fingerspell several times when she didn't know the right sign. But the kids didn't care. They watched intently, laughed at the funny parts, gasped at the sad parts, asked her to read it again. When the bell rang and the kids left, Madison felt exhilarated, exhausted but alive in a way board meetings had never made her feel. She volunteered 3 days a week after that, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, the same days Daniel came for lessons. Slowly, Madison became part of the St. Mary's community. Parents recognized her, teachers greeted her in the hallways, students who weren't even in Emma and Grace's class would wave when they saw her. Madison had spent years building a company, but this felt like building something more important. A life. A community. A place where she belonged. 2 weeks after Emma and Grace started at St. Mary's, Principal Rodriguez made an announcement at morning assembly. Madison was there volunteering in the library. She watched through the window as the principal signed to the gathered students. We have a special announcement today. Someone many of you remember is coming back to St. Mary's. Mr. Daniel will be joining us as a teaching assistant in Mrs. Patterson's 3rd grade class starting Monday. The older students erupted in excitement, hands flying, kids jumping up and down. Emma and Grace looked at each other with identical expressions of shock and joy. After assembly, they ran to find Madison in the library. Did you know? Emma's hands demanded. Did you know Mr. D was coming back? I knew he was thinking about it, but I didn't know it was official until just now. This is the best day ever. Grace spun in a circle. Mr. D will be here every day. We can see him at lunch and recess, and he can help us with hard assignments. Madison watched their joy and felt her own heart swell. Daniel had made the right choice. For the kids, for himself, maybe for all of them. That evening, Daniel came for their lesson as usual. Emma and Grace ambushed him at the door. "You're coming back to St. Mary's. You knew we'd be excited. Why didn't you tell us?" Daniel laughed and let them drag him inside. "I wanted to make sure it was really happening first. I start Monday, 3rd grade class. But I'll see you two at lunch and recess every day." "This is perfect." Emma hugged him tight. "Now you'll be part of our school and part of our home." "Lucky me." Daniel signed with a smile. They had their lesson, practiced conversation, told jokes in sign, laughed until their sides hurt. When the girls went upstairs to get ready for bed, Madison walked Daniel to his car. "I'm proud of you. For going back. I know it wasn't easy." "It was terrifying," Daniel admitted. "But also right. I called Principal Rodriguez yesterday and accepted. Gave my notice at Hayes Corporation this morning. You're leaving the company." "Already left. Today was my last day. Felt strange cleaning out my locker, saying goodbye to Frank and the maintenance crew, but good strange. Like closing a chapter that needed to end." "What did Frank say?" "That it was about damn time. That he always knew I was wasting my potential pushing a mop." Daniel smiled. "He's right. I've wasted 3 years hiding. Time to stop hiding." They stood in the driveway, the evening air cool around them. "Madison, can I ask you something?" Her name still sounded strange in his mouth. Intimate. Like they'd crossed some invisible line from Mrs. Hayes and Mr. Miller into something more personal. "Of course." "What Emma asked last night. About me becoming part of your family. She mentioned it before you came downstairs. Asked if I'd ever consider being their stepdad." Madison's stomach dropped. "I'm sorry. I told her it was too soon to think about things like that we're all still figuring out how to be in each other's lives." "That's not what I'm asking." Daniel looked at her directly. "I'm asking what you think. Not what you told them. What you actually think." Madison's mouth went dry. "I think you've become important to us. Essential, even. I think my daughters love you. I think you make our house feel like a home instead of just a building we sleep in." "And what about you? How do you feel?" "Scared." The honest answer slipped out. "David's only been gone 2 years. I shouldn't be thinking about someone else. Shouldn't be noticing how kind you are, how patient, how you've helped me become a better mother. How you look at my daughters like they're the most precious things in the world. I shouldn't notice any of that." "But you do notice." "Yes." Madison's voice was barely a whisper. "I notice." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. "I'm scared too. I haven't let myself care about anyone since Marcus died. It was easier to be alone, safer. But your daughters broke through every wall I built, and so did you, without even trying. What are we supposed to do about that? I don't know. Take it slow, maybe. See where this goes. I'm not trying to replace David. I could never replace him. But maybe there's room in your life for something new. Something different." "Maybe there is." Madison felt tears prick her eyes. "But I need time. And the girls need stability. We can't rush this. I'm not rushing anything. I'm just being honest. About what I feel. What I see happening between us." "What do you see happening?" "I see a woman who's learning to live again instead of just survive. I see 2 incredible girls who deserve every bit of love and attention you're giving them. And I see myself wanting to be part of that, not as a replacement. As something new, if you'll have me." Madison reached out and took his hand. "I don't know what this is yet, but I know I don't want to lose it. Lose you." "You won't lose me. I'm not going anywhere." They stood there holding hands in the driveway until the front door opened. Emma stuck her head out. "Mama, are you coming in? We want to show you the new sign we learned." Madison squeezed Daniel's hand once. Let go. I'll be right there, baby. Daniel got in his car. See you Wednesday. See you Wednesday. Madison watched him drive away, then turned back to her house. Her daughters waiting in the doorway. Her home full of light and laughter and love. She was finally learning what mattered. Finally choosing right. Finally becoming the mother her daughters deserved. And maybe, just maybe, she was learning to open her heart again too. Madison walked inside to find Emma and Grace waiting at the bottom of the stairs, their faces bright with excitement, and something else, something knowing. Were you and Mr. D holding hands? Emma signed with a little smirk. Madison felt heat rush to her cheeks. Maybe. Is that okay? Both girls nodded so enthusiastically their hair bounced. Very okay, Grace signed emphatically. Does this mean he's your boyfriend? I don't know what it means yet. We're figuring it out. Together. Slowly. But you like him, Emma's hands insisted. Like more than a friend. Madison sat on the bottom step, pulled them close. Yes, I like him more than a friend. But that doesn't change how much I loved your daddy, or how much I still miss him. We know, Mama. Grace's hands moved gently. But Daddy would want you to be happy. He told us that, before he died. Madison's breath caught. He did. Emma nodded. We were in the hospital with him, the day before. He made us promise to take care of you. Said you'd be sad for a long time. Said we should help you find happy again someday. Tears streamed down Madison's face. He said you deserved to love again. That loving someone new wouldn't mean you forgot him. That hearts are big enough for lots of people. Madison pulled them both into her lap, even though they were getting too big for it. Your daddy was a wise man. So it's okay if Mr. D makes you happy? Emma asked. You won't feel guilty. I'll probably feel guilty sometimes, but I'll try not to, because Daddy was right. Hearts are big enough for lots of people, and Mr. D has earned a place in ours. Grace signed something that made Emma giggle. What? Madison asked. Grace said Mr. D's been in our hearts for a while now. We were just waiting for you to catch up. Madison laughed through her tears. When did you two get so smart? We've always been smart, they said in unison. It was becoming their catchphrase. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm that felt like breathing. Easy, natural, right. Madison volunteered at St. Mary's 3 mornings a week. Daniel taught 3rd grade, but would stop by the library during his breaks. They'd drink coffee and talk about the girls, about the other students, about nothing important and everything that mattered. Slowly, the other teachers started treating them like a unit, inviting them both to staff meetings, asking their joint opinion on school events, acting like they were a couple before they'd officially decided they were. One Thursday afternoon, Mrs. Foster pulled Madison aside in the library. You and Daniel make a lovely pair. Madison felt herself blush. We're not exactly a pair yet. We're just spending time together. Honey, I've worked here 30 years. I've seen a lot of relationships start in these hallways. Trust me when I say the way that man looks at you and your girls is special. Don't let fear keep you from it. I'm trying not to. It's just complicated. Love is always complicated. Doesn't mean it's not worth it. That evening, Daniel came for dinner instead of just lessons. It was becoming a regular thing. He'd show up at 6 with takeout or groceries. They'd cook together while the girls did homework. Eat as a family, then practice signing until bedtime. Tonight, he brought ingredients for spaghetti. His grandmother's recipe, he said. Emma and Grace helped him cook. Madison watched from the kitchen table and felt her heart swell at how naturally he fit into their routine. Taste this. Daniel held out a wooden spoon with sauce. Tell me if it needs more garlic. Madison tasted it. It's perfect. You said that last time, and it was too salty. This time I mean it. He smiled. That soft smile that made her stomach flip. You're easy to please. Only with spaghetti sauce. Emma cleared her throat loudly, signed something that made Grace laugh. "What did she say?" Madison asked. Daniel translated with pink cheeks. "She said you two are being gross and cute at the same time." "We are not being gross," Madison protested. "Little bit gross." Grace signed. "But we like it." They ate dinner with laughter and easy conversation. The girls told Daniel about their day, about a project they were working on in art class, about how Sophie's mom was pregnant and everyone was excited. After dinner, Daniel helped clean up while Madison got the girls ready for bed. When she came back downstairs, he was loading the dishwasher. "You don't have to do that." "I know, but I want to." He closed the dishwasher and turned to face her. "Madison, can we talk?" Her stomach dropped. Those words never meant anything good. "Of course. What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Everything's actually really right. That's what I want to talk about." He dried his hands on a towel. "We've been doing this dance for weeks now. Spending time together. Getting closer. But not defining what this is. And I think we need to." "Okay. I care about you. A lot. More than I expected to. More than I've cared about anyone since my wife died. And I care about Emma and Grace like they're my own." He took a breath. "I want this to be real. Not just convenient. Not just about the girls. But about us too." Madison's heart raced. "What are you asking?" "I'm asking if you'll let this be something real. Let me be your partner. Not just the guy who teaches your kids to sign. Not just the friend who comes for dinner. But someone you're choosing. Someone who's choosing you back." "Daniel, I want that. I do. But I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of messing this up. Of hurting you. Of confusing the girls. Of betraying David's memory. Of everything." Madison felt tears building. "What if I'm not ready? What if I can never be ready?" Daniel stepped closer, took her hands. "Then we'll figure it out together. We don't have to rush. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be honest. About what we want, what we're scared of, what we need." "What do you need?" "I need to know you're in this. That you're not just letting me hang around because I'm useful. That you see a future here, even if that future is unclear right now." Madison looked at their joined hands. His calloused and scarred from years of hard work. Hers soft from expensive creams and easy living. Different, but somehow they fit. "I'm in this." The words came out stronger than she expected. "I'm terrified and confused and still grieving. But I'm in this. Because you've given me something I didn't think I'd have again. Hope. And I'm not ready to give that up." Daniel's face broke into a smile. "That's all I needed to hear." He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their first kiss was soft, tentative, like they were both afraid of breaking something precious. When they pulled apart, Madison was crying. "Did I do something wrong?" Daniel looked panicked. "No. Everything's right. That's why I'm crying, because I didn't think I'd feel this way about anyone again. And here you are making me feel everything." He wiped her tears with his thumbs. "I'm not going anywhere. Promise?" "Promise." They heard footsteps on the stairs, sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Emma appeared in the doorway. "I couldn't sleep. Can I have water?" "Of course, baby." Madison got her a glass. Emma drank it slowly, looking between them with knowing eyes. "Were you kissing?" she signed casually. Madison nearly choked. "Emma, it's okay if you were. We already said it's okay. We just want to know." Daniel laughed. "Yes, we were kissing. Is that all right with you?" Emma set down her glass, walked over to Daniel, looked up at him seriously. "Are you going to marry Mama?" Emma. Madison's face burned, but Daniel knelt down to Emma's level. "I don't know yet. We're just starting to figure out what this is. But I can tell you that I care about your mama very much, and I care about you and Grace very much, and I'm not going anywhere." Good. Emma hugged him. Because we need you. All of us need you. I need you too, Emma. All of you. Emma went back to bed satisfied. Madison stood in the kitchen feeling like her life had just shifted on its axis. Well, that was subtle, she said. Your daughters don't do subtle. No, they really don't. Madison looked at him. Are you okay with how fast this is moving? With them assuming we're heading towards something serious? Are we not heading towards something serious? I don't know. Are we? Daniel stood and pulled her close. I lost my wife 6 years ago. Spent 3 years punishing myself for surviving when she didn't. When Marcus didn't. I'm done punishing myself. Done running from things that matter. So yes, I think we're heading towards something serious. If you're brave enough to go there with me. I'm trying to be brave. That's all I'm asking. They stood in the kitchen holding each other until Madison's phone rang. She ignored it. It rang again. You should probably answer that, Daniel said. Madison sighed and looked at the screen. The board chair. Again. I thought you stepped back from the company. I did. They're having trouble accepting it. She rejected the call. My interim CEO is doing fine. They just don't trust anyone who isn't me. Do you miss it? The company, the power, the control? Madison thought about it, really thought. No, I thought I would. Thought I'd be lost without it. But I'm not. I'm actually happy. For the first time since David died, I wake up excited about the day. Not because of deals or board meetings, because of my daughters, because of volunteering, because of you. That's good, because I don't think I could compete with a Fortune 500 company. You're not competing with anything. You've already won. They kissed again. Longer this time. Deeper. When they pulled apart, Daniel was smiling. I should go, before your daughters come down again with more questions. Probably smart. She walked him to the door. They stood on the porch like teenagers afraid to say goodnight. Friday night, Daniel said. Let me take you on a real date. Just us. Maria can watch the girls. A date. Dinner. Maybe a movie. Normal couple stuff. I haven't been on a date in years. Me neither. We'll figure it out together. Madison smiled. Okay, yes, let's do it. After he left, she went upstairs. Checked on the girls. They were both awake, waiting. We heard everything. Grace signed. You're terrible at whispering. You two are terrible at pretending to sleep. Emma sat up. So you're really together now, you and Mr. D? Yes, we're really together. Is that okay? Both girls launched themselves at her, hugging and signing and crying happy tears. We prayed for this. Emma signed through tears. Every night we prayed you'd be happy again, that someone good would come, and Mr. D came. Madison held them and cried too. He did come, and he's pretty great, isn't he? The best. Grace agreed. Can we call him Dad eventually? Or is that wrong? Madison's chest tightened. I don't know, baby. That's something we'd all have to talk about together, Mr. D included. But maybe someday, Emma asked hopefully. Maybe someday. They fell asleep in Madison's bed again, all three of them tangled together. A family that had been broken slowly becoming whole. Friday night arrived faster than Madison expected. She spent way too long picking out an outfit, changed 3 times, finally settled on jeans and a nice sweater. The girls watched her get ready with amused expressions. You're nervous, Emma signed. I am not. You changed your shirt 4 times, Grace pointed out. That's nervous. Fine, I'm a little nervous. It's been a long time since I went on a date. You'll be great, Mama. Emma hugged her. Mr. D already likes you. You don't have to impress him. That's exactly when you need to impress someone, when they already like you. Daniel picked her up at 7. He'd dressed up too, button-down shirt, nice jeans, his hair still damp from the shower. You look beautiful, he said when Madison opened the door. You clean up pretty nice yourself. The girls hovered behind her, making exaggerated kissy faces. Girls, behave. Madison tried to sound stern, but couldn't stop smiling. Have fun, Emma signed. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. Emma Grace Hayes. Daniel laughed. Come on, let's get out of here before they give us more advice. They went to a small Italian restaurant downtown. Nothing fancy, but warm and intimate. Perfect. Over dinner, they talked about everything except the girls. About Daniel's childhood. About Madison's early career. About their late spouses. About grief and healing and learning to live again. My wife Rachel died in childbirth, Daniel said quietly. She was pregnant, 6 months along, started bleeding. They couldn't stop it. Lost her and the baby the same night. Madison reached across the table and took his hand. I'm so sorry. It destroyed me. Marcus had just been diagnosed with leukemia a month before. Suddenly I was alone with a dying brother and no wife and no future. I thought I'd never survive it. But you did. Barely. I went through the motions, took care of Marcus, went to work, existed. But I wasn't living. Not really. Not until Emma and Grace reminded me what joy looked like. David died instantly in the crash. Madison's turn to share. He was driving home from work. Drunk driver ran a red light, hit him head on. They said he didn't suffer. Didn't even know what happened. But I knew. I suffered enough for both of us. How did you get through it? I didn't. Not really. I threw myself into work, ignored my daughters, built bigger walls, convinced myself I was fine when I was dying inside. Madison squeezed his hand. You saved me from that. You and your kindness and your patience. You reminded me what mattered. We saved each other then. They finished dinner and walked around downtown, holding hands, talking, laughing. Madison couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this light, this free. They ended up at a park with a view of the city lights, sat on a bench, and watched the world go by. I have something to tell you, Daniel said after a while. The board at St. Mary's asked me to take over as head of the deaf education department. It's a big promotion, more money, more responsibility. But it would mean less time in the classroom, less time with Emma and Grace directly. What did you say? I haven't answered yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Why me? Because you're part of this decision now. Your opinion matters. If taking this job means I can't be as present for the girls, I need to know how you feel about that. Madison was quiet for a moment. What do you want to do? Honestly, I want to take it. I think I could really make a difference in that role. Help shape how deaf education works at St. Mary's. But not if it costs me time with your family. Our family, Madison corrected. And you should take it. This is your dream, your calling. Emma and Grace will understand. They'll be proud of you. You're sure? Positive. We'll adjust. Figure out a new schedule. Make it work, because that's what families do. Daniel pulled her close. When did you get so wise? When I stopped trying to control everything and started trusting that things would work out. They kissed under the stars like the world had reduced to just them. When Daniel dropped Madison home at 11, Maria was reading in the living room. Girls are asleep. They were perfect angels. Maria smiled knowingly. How was your date? Perfect. Good, you deserve perfect. Madison checked on Emma and Grace. They'd left notes on her pillow. Emma's said, Hope you had fun. We love you and Mr. D. Grace's said, When's the wedding? Madison laughed and tucked the notes away. Then she got ready for bed, feeling lighter than she had in years. The next morning she woke to both girls jumping on her bed. Tell us everything, Emma demanded. There's nothing to tell. We had dinner. We talked. We came home. That's the boring version. Grace signed. We want the good version. So Madison told them the good version. About dinner, and the walk, and the park. About how Daniel made her laugh. How easy it was to be with him. How right everything felt. The girls listened with rapt attention, like she was telling a fairy tale. "Are you going to marry him?" Emma asked for the millionth time. "I don't know yet. We're taking things slow." "Why slow? You already love him. He already loves you. What's the point of waiting?" Madison pulled them both close. "Because some things are worth taking time with, worth savoring. Your dad and I rushed into things, got married after 6 months, and it was wonderful. But with Daniel, I want to do it differently. Want to build something solid and sure, something that lasts." "That makes sense." Grace signed thoughtfully. "We can wait. As long as we know it's coming eventually." Deal. Over the next few months, their life together took shape. Daniel took the promotion at St. Mary's, started his new role with energy and passion Madison had never seen in anyone. She watched him lead staff meetings, advocate for deaf students, fight for resources and recognition, and fell more in love with him every day. They had family dinners 3 times a week. Daniel, Madison, Emma, Grace, and sometimes Maria, laughing and signing and becoming something that felt like forever. One Saturday in early spring, 6 months after Daniel first walked into their lives, Madison took Emma and Grace to the cemetery. They hadn't visited David's grave since the funeral. The girls placed flowers by the headstone, signed messages to their father in the sky. Madison knelt in the grass and talked to her late husband out loud. "I met someone. His name is Daniel. He's kind and patient, and the girls love him. I think you'd like him too. He's helping me be the mother I should have been all along." She paused, wiped tears. "I hope this is okay with you. I hope you're not upset that I'm moving on, that I'm choosing to be happy again, because you always said hearts are big enough for lots of people. And mine is finally believing that." Emma tugged her sleeve, pointed to a butterfly that had landed on David's headstone. "Daddy says it's okay?" Emma signed. "The butterfly means he's happy for us." Madison didn't argue with her daughter's logic, just nodded and held both girls close. That evening, Daniel came for dinner. Madison asked him to stay after the girls went to bed. They sat on the back porch with wine and comfortable silence. "I went to David's grave today," Madison said. "Told him about you." "How did that go?" "Better than I expected. The girls said he sent us a butterfly as a sign he approved." Daniel smiled. "I like that interpretation." "Me too." Madison took a breath. "Daniel, I need to tell you something. Something I've been thinking about for weeks." "Okay." "I love you. I'm in love with you. And I know we said we'd take things slow, but I don't want to take them slow anymore. I want this. I want us. I want you to be part of our family officially, not just the guy who comes for dinner, but the man I'm choosing to build a life with." Daniel set down his wine glass. "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "I don't know. What do you think I'm asking?" "Sounds like you're proposing to me," Madison laughed. "Maybe I am. Is that okay? Or should I have waited for you to ask? I was going to ask next month. Had a whole plan. Ring. Fancy dinner. The works." "You did?" "Of course I did. You think I'd let you get away?" He pulled a small box from his pocket. "But since you brought it up..." Madison gasped. "You have a ring right now." "I've been carrying it around for 2 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. This seems pretty perfect." He got down on one knee right there on the porch, opened the box to reveal a simple but beautiful ring. "Madison Hayes, will you marry me? Will you let me be a father to Emma and Grace? Will you let me love you for the rest of my life?" "Yes." The word came out choked with tears. "Yes to all of it." He slipped the ring on her finger, kissed her, and Madison felt like her life had finally come full circle. They heard squealing from upstairs, looked up to see Emma and Grace watching from their window. "How long have they been there?" Madison asked. "Probably the whole time. Your daughters don't miss anything." The girls came running downstairs, crashed into both of them with hugs. "You said yes," Emma signed frantically. "Mama said yes." "Does this mean Mr. D is going to be our dad?" Grace asked. Daniel knelt down to their level. "If that's okay with you two. I know I can't replace your father. I wouldn't want to. But I'd be honored to be your dad too, if you'll have me." Both girls threw themselves at him, crying and signing yes over and over. They sat on the porch together, all four of them. A family that had been broken and lost and slowly found its way to healing. "When's the wedding?" Emma asked. "We just got engaged 5 minutes ago." Madison laughed. "So, when?" Daniel and Madison looked at each other. "Summer," he suggested. "Small ceremony. Just family and close friends." "Can Sophie and Clara come?" Grace asked. "Of course." "Can we wear pretty dresses?" "The prettiest dresses we can find." Emma signed something that made Grace giggle. "What?" Madison asked. "She said we knew this would happen. We've been planning your wedding for months." "Of course you have." They stayed up late that night, making plans, telling stories, laughing until their sides hurt. When Madison finally tucked the girls into bed, Emma grabbed her hand. "Mama, are you happy? Really, truly happy?" Madison thought about the question, about the journey that had brought them here, about the man downstairs who'd seen her daughters when she'd been blind, who'd taught her to listen when all she'd done was talk, who'd shown her that love wasn't something you ran out of, it was something that multiplied when you shared it. "Yes, baby, I'm really truly happy. Are you?" "The happiest," Emma signed. "We have you. We have Mr. D who's going to be dad. We have our school where we belong. We have everything we prayed for." "We do, don't we?" After the girls fell asleep, Madison went back downstairs, found Daniel cleaning up the kitchen. She wrapped her arms around him from behind, rested her head against his back. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing my daughters when I was too blind to really look. For teaching me their language. For showing me what mattered. For loving us when we were all a little bit broken. For being patient while we healed. For choosing us." Daniel turned in her arms, kissed her forehead. "You've got it backwards. You chose me. Pulled me out of a basement where I was hiding from life. Gave me a reason to care again. To teach again. To love again. You saved me, Madison. You and those incredible girls upstairs. Then I guess we saved each other. I guess we did." They stood in the kitchen holding each other, and Madison realized this was what David had wanted for her. Not to stop loving him, but to open her heart wide enough to love again, and she had. She'd loved her daughters enough to change everything, to learn their language, to enter their world, to become the mother they deserved, and she'd loved Daniel enough to risk her heart, to trust again, to believe in second chances. Love she'd learned wasn't something you lost when someone died. It was something you carried forward, something that made you brave enough to love again. Emma and Grace had taught her that. Daniel had shown her how. And together they'd built something beautiful from broken pieces. A family that understood that sometimes the people who save you are the ones you weren't even looking for. The ones who show up in the quiet moments and teach you how to hear without words, how to speak with your hands, how to love with your whole heart. Madison looked at the ring on her finger, thought about the wedding they'd plan, the life they'd build, the future stretching out before them bright and full of possibility. She'd been the CEO who had everything and nothing, who'd built an empire but lost sight of what mattered. And then a janitor had walked into her life, a quiet man with gentle hands and a broken heart, who'd seen her daughters not as problems to fix, but as people to hear, who'd taught them sign language in her kitchen while she was busy pretending everything was fine. That moment had changed everything, had cracked open her perfect facade and shown her what she was missing. And now here she was, engaged to that janitor who wasn't just a janitor, who was a teacher and a father and the love of her second chance. Life, Madison thought, had a funny way of working out. Not the way you planned, not the way you expected, but exactly the way it needed to. She kissed Daniel one more time, then led him to the door. "I'll see you tomorrow." She signed it as she said it, her hands confident now. "Sure. Tomorrow." He signed back. "I love you. I love you too." After he left, Madison walked through her house, turned off lights, checked doors, climbed the stairs to bed, and for the first time in years, she fell asleep with a smile on her face and peace in her heart. Because she'd finally learned the truth that had been in front of her all along. The truest connections weren't built through wealth or power. They were built through understanding, through patience, through people brave enough to listen to what couldn't be said with words, through hearts that learned to hear the language of love in all its forms. And Madison Hayes had finally learned to hear it, had finally learned to speak it back, had finally learned that being present was worth more than being perfect. That trying mattered more than succeeding. That love wasn't something you earned. It was something you chose, every single day. She'd chosen her daughters. She'd chosen Daniel. She'd chosen healing over hiding, growth over grief, life over mere survival. And in return, she'd been given everything that mattered: a family, a home, a second chance at happiness. The janitor's single dad had helped her deaf twins, and when the CEO walked in and froze, she'd been given a choice: push away or pull close, run or stay, fear or love. She'd chosen love, and love had chosen her back, and that made all the difference.